Jeffrey Hanley. Dr. Hanley lives in Jamaica. And obviously he comes here and does surgeries from time to time. But clearly I would love to have Dr. Jeffrey.
Back.
Why am I saying Jeffrey Hanley? Jeffrey Liebert is his name, not Hanley. Jeffrey Hanley is a deputy prime minister, forgive me. Dr. Jeffrey Liebert from Rice's village in Gingerland. And I've spoken to him about coming home. But the reality is, and his specialty is he's so highly specialized as a doctor, being a neurosurgeon, that the question would be how many people here would need his expertise. That's the reality, I think, of smaller. So it is very difficult for us to attract certain specialties to come. People come in on a visiting basis, but if God forbid you were to have an emergency tonight and you needed a neurosurgeon, there's none available. That's right. And there's nothing we can do to make one available because this.
So this, you will hear me? Mega value. Suppose to have volume. Oh yes, there's definitely volume. Yeah. Okay. All right. Jesus love you. With regards to this neurosurgeon thing, I like this is something that would make me feel like no destiny. Because you're telling me we only got 10,000 people and 10,000 people with money, and there is no neurosurgeon. Once again, there is a solution to all of these problems, but it's proprietary information at this particular moment in time. I still believe that if we pay these people the amount of money that they should be paid, that maybe it's possible we will have them. But if there is any argument to say that the juice is not what the squeeze, we need more of the financial information to determine whether or not that is the case. And as I said, there are also a couple of workarounds that we could imply to ensure that this person receives a compensation that is fair market value for what they are going to be producing. I don't think that we could maintain, and the fact that they're getting the amount of pay that they're getting should not impact how politicians look at the thing and say, well, okay, no, we want a pay increase because the doctors are being paid more, in my opinion.
Simple mechanics and economics of the situation doesn't permit that. In the United States, if you're in Boston, it's no problem. You have such a large population that it makes sense. As we say colloquially, in those big countries, the dance can pay for the lights. Here, the dance cannot pay for the lights. So we have to, I think, as a people, be realistic in terms of what our ambitions are in terms of healthcare. Having said that, I think that we have been talking about universal healthcare coverage, universal health insurance for a very long time. That has not yet happened. I think that is an urgent priority for us. We have been talking about building out infrastructure. We have an unfinished hospital wing that we started pre-COVID. We shut it down during COVID. We have not restarted it yet. We hope to restart it this year and to take that to completion. We have had some criticism over that, and I think warranted criticism. But having said that, we have not suffered in any way in terms of our healthcare. It's not as if, I've always said it's similar to a man who has a home already, which is functional, not leaking, providing what a home should provide, which is shelter. He decides to build a second home, which is delayed. He's not out of shelter while that second home is delayed. So some people have tried to characterize it as if the healthcare is failing because we have not finished a building. And I keep telling them healthcare is not a building. Healthcare is your personnel, healthcare is your equipment. And we have invested in brand new ambulances. In our time, I'm a little older than you, but certainly in our time growing up, you would have.
You had one, I think it was one around.
Something like that, but one, maybe you got to use one. Yeah. So we invested in new ambulances. We just deployed a brand new state-of-the-art 911 system. Believe it or not, we had a situation here where sometimes if you're in an emergency, you call 911. Somebody picked up the phone in Antigua. Somebody picked up the phone in St. Kitts.
Yeah.
The system was just not up to scratch. We've now deployed a state-of-the-art system with highly trained dispatchers, trained to U.S. standards. We have invested in things like CT scan. Nevis was one of the few islands. In fact, I think it was only Nevis and Grenada had the 128 slice CT, which was brand new. We've invested in mammograms. In fact, I thought, have done some excellent work here in offering free mammogram screening for our women. We have invested in doctors. In fact, we did an analysis the other day, and I thought it interesting because we now have on our staff, specialties like gynecology. We have internists, we have anesthesiologists, we have 3 surgeons available to us on the island, pediatricians. We have a number of specialties that we didn't have before. We have an excellent eye care program, which is manned largely by visiting doctors coming in from the US, but they do incredible work, including corneal transplants, which are happening on Nevis now at our hospital. And as I said to someone the other day, these chaps are doing cataract surgery, for example, for the equivalent of about $100 US.
Oh, wow.
That's unheard of. And so people are saying, oh my goodness, elsewhere the cost of that is thousands of dollars. So we have, I think, made significant strides here. We now have OBGYN services in the district, in the villages. So in former days, if a woman was pregnant in the countryside, she had to come to the hospital. That's not anymore. We now have gynecologists, obstetrics and gynecology available in the communities. So you can go to your local clinic in the village and you get those services. So we're doing, I think, quite a bit of investment in terms of nurses, in terms of doctors. We now have 5 young doctors who are abroad specializing through scholarships. We have people doing ophthalmology. We have people doing anesthesiology, I think. We have someone...
These are government scholarships?
Yes, working with the government of Cuba. We have those individuals away. And then in addition to that, we have a program now where anybody wanting to do nursing at the Clarence Fitzroy Bryan College in St. Kitts, which has a nursing program. All nurses now have to have a degree. It's a degree program. Yeah. We fund them completely.
Really? The Nevis Island government?
Fund them completely. So if you want to do nursing here, you have a clear pathway to become a nurse because we recognize the shortage. But in the interim, we have buttressed our nursing staff by importing nurses. We have nurses who are here from Jamaica, we have from the Philippines, we have from St. Vincent, St. Lucia, all around the region. So we have really been boosting our staff, boosting the expertise that we have available, and boosting our equipment and our responsiveness in terms of healthcare here.
So overall, you're happy with the strides you made in the healthcare sector?
Happy with the strides, but I'll be the first to say that you're never done in terms of work where healthcare is concerned.
One thing that I keep hearing about is the lack of a dialysis machine.
Yes. So dialysis is the difficulty, again, you come back to population. It's really been something we've been struggling with. Dialysis is very expensive. Very expensive. In fact, the average dialysis patient needs about 3 treatments per week.
Yeah.
And those treatments were being offered at $800 EC per treatment on St. Kitts. That's $1,000 a week, right? Most people, even rich people, could not be able to afford $1,000 per week. Absent health insurance, going back to that, I said we need a health insurance, that becomes a difficulty. At any given point, we have really only had between 5 and 6 dialysis patients. And so while our incidences of precursors to kidney failure like diabetes and hypertension are quite high, the reality is that in terms of people needing dialysis, we've only had 5 or 6 on average. And we have contacted every dialysis center that we can find in the United States and regionally. Their first question to us is, how many patients do you have? And once we say 5 or 6, the conversation is over, because 5 or 6 patients cannot sustain a dialysis unit. So what has happened is St. Kitts has invested in dialysis over there, and we fund our patients from Nevis to go. So we pay for their boat, we fund their attendance in St. Kitts for dialysis. Of course, Nevisians are who they are, and they say, well, we don't want to go to St. Kitts, we want it available here, and that long commute and whatever. And I smile all the time. You live in the United States, you would understand that, you know, St. Kitts to Nevis is 5 minutes.
Nothing.
And there's a 15-minute drive to dialysis.
Yeah.
But people say that's too long, and that's a burden. In America, people drive for 2 hours to get to their dialysis
If you're lucky,
treatment.
and then there's traffic.
Right? So, you know, but we have to deal with those realities. So we are working on delivering dialysis to the people of Nevis. I am just hopeful that when we do deliver it, people understand that these services, we have to find a way to pay for it. Okay. And it's through health insurance, or people are going to have to contribute to ensuring that these patients are taken care of.
I would like to shift the conversation towards tourism and the economy. What indicators do you rely on to measure whether Nevis tourism sector is truly growing?
Revenue and jobs. I think that, you know, I don't pay as much attention as some people do to the number of faces they see. The other day, I want to know, how is this translated into revenue for the island? How is this translated into jobs for the island? And I think our job growth has been steady, not remarkable, but steady. So we're growing in terms of our jobs 3 to 5% based on our social security numbers. But our revenue from tourism has really grown tremendously over the years. We have, for example, a tax we call a tourism development levy, which is levied hitherto at 2%, now at 3%. So if you dine at our restaurants or you stay in our hotels, the 3% is added to your bill. And that tax, we have seen that tax more than double in terms of what it's generating for the island of Nevis. So those are the indicators that I generally look at in terms of is our job portfolio holding and growing, and is our revenue in terms of government revenue from VAT, from tourism and development levy, etc., is that growing as well. And I think on both fronts, Nevis has been performing creditably.
And you would say that the actual local economy, in terms of you know, small businesses, they're getting their fair share as well.
Oh, sure, because because I suppose Nevis
fly.